Welcome to the Luxury Listing Specialist Podcast with Michael LaFido, where top luxury agents reveal their best practices, plus interviews with real estate industry influencers, thought leaders, and luxury marketing experts. You'll come away from each episode with new strategies and tactics to dominate high-end homes in any market. And now for the latest episode of Luxury Listing Specialist. Here's your host, luxury real estate expert, coach, and trainer, Michael LaFido.
Welcome back to another episode of the Luxury Listing Specialist Podcast. I'm your host, Michael LaFido. You are in the right place if you're looking to work smarter, not harder. If you're looking to increase the average sale price of a home you represent, as well as increase your conversion. So we have agents all across the country that are either beginning, they're rock star agents, but perhaps they're not specializing in luxury, or we also have we get great feedback from listeners that are luxury agents and they're just looking for the principle, a slight edge, just an additional nugget, something they can implement that perhaps their competition isn't. Again, our podcast, our previous episodes, you can download them on iTunes or Stitcher. Or go to luxurylistingpodcast.com. My name is Michael LaFido, and I'm excited for today's guest. We have Joshua Smith. Joshua runs several companies. He's got his own podcast. That's actually how we met. A little bit over a year ago, I was a guest on his podcast. He's doing some amazing things. He's got great websites and great. He's an implementer, so there's a lot of people with great ideas, but he's an implementer, and although he doesn't specialize in the luxury space, he's all about marketing, he's all about increasing conversion, and so with that being said, Joshua, welcome, and tell folks a little bit about your history and what you're up to today.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. It's a huge honor. So, I got into real estate back in 2005, so actually, last month, May of 2018, hit my 13-year anniversary. So, I got into business, to be honest with you, just to raise some money. I was 23 years old. My goal was to go out there. I grew up in the health club space, and my goal was to go out there and open up my own health club. And by the time I'm 23 years old, college dropout, very little money to my name. And I needed $800,000 to create what I wanted to create. So couldn't get a loan. So I was like, all right, how do I go out there and raise this capital? So 2005, Phoenix, Arizona, everybody's selling real estate. Anybody with a real estate license was selling a ton of real estate at the time, or at least it appeared to be so. And I was like, all right, I'll just jump into real estate and go kill it and raise the money. Right? And I did. So I got into real estate, 23 years old. And, again, this was an extremely hot market. So, it was probably a combination of my work ethic combined with market timing. But got my license and hit the ground running, man. 48 deals my first year. And then after my first 12
48,
months was
four a month. Good for you.
Yeah, it was great. Well, again, though, it was, the market was just so insane. Yeah, right, of what was taking place. I put it this way. I sold 48 deals in my first year, and I did not get Rookie of the Year at my office. Right? So,
really? So
there was people doing a lot of business at that time. But it was a lot of work. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I was grinding 4 a.m. to midnight, right? It was a lot of hustle. At the end, though, of at the end of my first year, I hit this capacity. I wanted to go out there and double my business. I needed to grow and double my business because at 48 deals, as you said in the intro, I mean, we popped some luxury deals here and there, but 95% of deals in our marketplace or where I'm at are under $500,000. And our average price point's under $300,000 right now. So, so the majority of our deals are not huge deals, right? So, in order to continue to raise this capital at the rate I wanted to raise it, I had to really double my production. I couldn't figure out how to, or couldn't really fathom how to do it. So that's what led to me starting my team. So hired my first assistant, and then about 6 weeks after I had my first assistant, that led to me hiring my first agent. So right after my first year is when I started my real estate team. And what happened is I'm very passionate about real estate. I like real estate. I like working with buyers and sellers. But what made me truly fall in love with this industry is when I started my team. Yeah, right. Just realizing the opportunities, the possibilities, as well as the massive impact you could have on other people, with your teammates. I just realized at that point I could have a bigger impact in this space than I could in health clubs. And I always say that health clubs is my passion. Real estate very quickly became my obsession. So, fast forward now to 13 years later, and if you look at my whole entire career, now these are not my personal numbers, right? This is near the team, and I started a team very early on. We've sold well over 5,000 homes, over $1 billion now in real estate, and last year my team still weighted 653 transactions here in the Phoenix marketplace. Which was roughly $150 million in gross volume sales and $3.5 million in GCI. And been voted the third top realtor in America by the Wall Street Journal, NAR 30 under 30 finalist, and just continue having fun with it.
Well, I had you on. I love your enthusiasm, your passion, what you're doing. You have a podcast, which I was a guest of as well. Tell us a little bit about the podcast and what's the goal for the listeners there, and what you look for in a guest.
Yeah, so the podcast was something I started, probably almost 3 years ago now. I don't know the exact date, but 2.5, 3 years ago. And I started the podcast for two main reasons. Number one, I just got fed up as a real estate agent. I got so fed up with the amount of information that was being delivered to the industry. Yeah, right. There's so much smoke and mirrors. There's so much fluff. There's so much BS that exists out there. There's a lot of great information that's available, but there is exponentially more terrible, shitty information than there is great. And I just got sick and tired of it, and I got sick and tired of complaining and bitching, moaning, and whining about it. So I'm like, hey man, why don't I go out there and create a space that gives back to an industry that changed my life, and interview people that I know are true players in this real estate business from all different angles. Yeah, right. From individual agents to mega team leaders to broker owners that are actually out there crushing it, that are actually out there killing it. A lot of these, again, great personal friends of mine. I've seen their P&L statements. They're not the charlatans that exist out there. And so that's why I started, or one of the reasons why I started, and just being fully honest and open with everybody. Anything that I do, I really look for two elements. Why am I doing this? But also, what am I going to personally benefit out of this? And as you continue to create more and more success, life becomes that much more lonely. There's that many more few people that can relate with you, what you're doing. Your friends and family that you grew up with, and people that are closest to you in your world, they don't get you, they don't understand you, and you get to the point where, where they're at in their life, or the conversations that you have with them no longer challenges you and intrigues you, and success can be a very, very lonely path. So I just wanted to go out there and have in-depth, insane conversations, pick people's brains, and surround myself with just massive, massive winners. And that was the selfish element, the selfish realm of it is, I wanted to have a platform, a space where I could have the opportunity to interview and pick the brain of, my mentors and just straight up badasses that I could expand and grow from. And, it's one of these things where even if my podcast, even podcasts, as Michael, are tough to monetize, right? Like tough to know if there's any money that's necessarily coming from it. And it's just one of these things that even if there never was a cent that could come from it, I wouldn't care, right? It's the one thing that I would continue doing, regardless, as long as I possibly could, because where else do you get the opportunity to sit there and ask anybody anything that you want? And I've had a couple billionaires on the show. How often do you get to sit there with a billionaire and have an hour to ask them anything you want? Yeah, right? Like I had the CEO of Visalis on there, right? This cat takes $36,000 an hour, 24/7, right? And he's under 40 years old too. So you're talking $60 million a month, and I have an hour to ask this dude anything I want to ask him. But like that's just something you can't put a price tag on, man. It's so ungodly powerful.
Yeah, no, that really is. And giving back is important as well. And like you said, the industry really, I've gone to all these conferences, I speak and all this stuff. And what I'm seeing out there, Joshua, is, the term disruptor. You see it all the time, disruptor. And many agents come up to me and they're worried, they're panicking. Hey, things going to change. One of the big, speakers, trainers out there said, hey, in 5 years, overall real estate agents' commissions are going to be much lower than they are today. I'm not bringing up names of companies and that kind of stuff, but I still believe, and it's always going to be a people-based business. Even with all this focus on technology, right? All these big brokerages just focusing on tech. It's still a people-based business. But the more knowledge you have, the more value you can bring to the table. Better negotiating skills. These agents aren't going to have to compete by lowering their fee. That's my goal for the agents, is raise the standard. It's a win-win for everybody. The seller benefits, the agent benefits, and that's kind of the goal for this podcast, right? The Luxury Listing Podcast is to bring as much value out there, because there's a lot of dinosaur agents, and I'm not saying dinosaur by age, but dinosaur in the way they think, and they're inside the box, and they keep doing the same darn things as everybody else. And that has to stop. I mean, let's face it, a month ago, all this pushback and outrage about our own association, NAR, puts out a new logo. Supposedly they invested $500,000 in it. And they got all this pushback, rightfully so. It looks like a logo that was on Fiverr.com. But that, I think, is a microcosm with our industry, is, not taking the feedback from, their members and making a decision that maybe they gave it a lot of thought. I don't know, but that money, I think, could have been used elsewhere in a better, productive way to raise the bar.
Yeah. And then if you don't mind, I'd love to elaborate on what you're talking about there. So, because here's at least my 2 cents on, this, where commissions are going and discounters and whatever. So first off, real estate's the only industry that I've ever seen where, realtors get genuinely pissed about these discounters that exist out there. Yeah, right? Like their competition that are discounters. But if you look at every other industry that exists, right, there's always a discounter. There's always the, quote unquote luxury high end, right? It just exists.
Right.
And you got to focus on what you can control. Why give any energy to what you can't control? I don't care about the discounters. Like for me to think that they shouldn't exist or won't, like that's just me being delusional, right? Like if I look at Nordstrom doesn't care about Ross, right? Ross is not taking up any of Nordstrom's mental capacity or mental thoughts. Nordstrom is in their lane. You got people that want to go to Ross. You got people that are going to go to Nordstrom. So I think the first thing is for our, like a lot of realtors out there in the industry or people in our industry, just that's just business. Show me any other industry that exists. You're always going to have your Whole Foods and then your Walmart, or there's always the analogies, right?
Right.
So then from there, right, you got to focus on what you can control, right? So like for me, I'm not a discount agent, and I don't have an issue with discount agents or discount brokerages out there. They exist as heavily in my market as any. So those that are listening to this, I am in the most saturated real estate market per capita on the planet. There's almost 40,000 agents in my county, 700 new agents coming out of school each and every month. The average agent in my area only sells 2.2 homes a year. It's so ungodly saturated. Yeah, right? And then in my area too, that's like Zillow just launched their testing ground for Zillow-owned homes now. Zillow's actually going out there buying their own homes and listing their own homes out in my marketplace. I've got Open Door. Right? I've got all these, quote-unquote hedge funds and big companies that are buying, selling their own real estate that are trying to eliminate the agent in my backyard, right? And again, they're a non-issue to me. And why is that? Because I focus on what I can control. I master my craft. And what do I mean by mastery, right? So mastery is, mastery happens when eyeballs aren't on you. So when I was mastering my listing presentation, right? So I realized at the time my listing conduction ratios were very low, or they were like industry average. And I wanted them to be, very high. I knew that would have a huge impact on my business. Yeah, right. So there's a few things that I did there, right? I'm like, okay, I've got to improve this. How am I going to improve this? Well, I need to have obviously a better presentation process. So where I started with that though is every listing obviously that I lost, I'm calling the sellers, congratulate them on their decision, not trying to talk them out of it, but asking for feedback. But then I realized that wasn't enough. So I started calling every single expired, withdrawn, canceled in my marketplace, and just interview. How can what do you want from us as real estate agents? What do you want? Like what can I do in my business or the services that I provide? Like what do you want? Right. So I'm using that time, to craft the best listing presentation that I possibly could. Listening to consumers while studying other top producers. Then as I come up and I'm crafting this listing presentation, man, I'm spending hours every single night when my wife and kids would go to bed, just hours going over it, hundreds, if not thousands of times. Mastery can happen when eyeballs aren't on you, right? And I'm so intentional about the process. When I get this call, let's just say from a potential lister, right? What are the exact questions that I need to ask to prepare for the appointment in the exact way? What is the exact most effective appointment setting script that I can utilize to sell value in the appointment and get that appointment set? Then what is the most effective appointment confirmation process? Exactly step by step. How do I prepare for this appointment in the most effective manner? How early do I need to show up? When I knock on the door, how do I introduce myself? What do I say? How do I lead that process? How do I do the tour? How do I do my marketing presentation? How do I close them into listing with me and breaking down each element of just that process? And that's only one of so many different things that you've got to master in this real estate space. That's just one process, right? But just spending months, and not months now, years, right, of just dissecting those things over and over and over, becoming obsessed. If you were to define and draw like what's that like dividing line between those that create massive success in their life compared to those that just talk about it but never create success. Like the one defining thing the difference between the two is those that just talk about it that never create the success, they obsess over the things that the money buys them, or the money brings them, the house, the cars, the watches, the clothes, the vacations, where those that create the success, truly create the success, they obsess over the little tiny things, the little tiny processes that then lead to that success. That's the difference. Like you and I, Michael, like we're so good at what we do because we obsess over those tiny little things. The money follows, right? But our industry is so broken, it has nothing to do with technology. It really has nothing to do with NAR or anybody else. It's just real estate agents choose to be amateurs and not go pro. We have such a small percentage of this industry that chooses to go pro, guys like you and I. It's less than 3% of the industry that chooses to go pro at a high level, and we're faced with all the amateurs. And so those of you listening, if I could say anything, right, that would have the biggest impact on your business, man, commit to going pro, right? Just become obsessed. Obsession is what controls your thoughts. Become obsessed with going pro, and then when you do, none of these other things will matter because it's like fishing with dynamite because everybody else is an amateur.
Yeah, powerful stuff there. I mean, you just gave some amazing nuggets there. And, talking about mindset, going pro, raising the bar, when I speak on stages, I always say garbage in, garbage, and everybody says garbage out. I say, no, garbage in, garbage stays. I mean, what are you feeding your brain? And if you're feeding it crap, if you're feeding body crap, you're going to be sluggish. You got to surround yourself, just like Zig Ziglar said, you hang out with 9 dead broke people, you're bound to be the 10th. Hang out with 9 overachievers. I mean, Joshua's energy and his passion, you could just feel it. And that's what I want to be around. I want to surround myself with those kind of folks. So before we kind of go into the Facebook, some of the tips and suggestions on Facebook, just a reminder, folks, one other thing, I want to remind you on 2 things. One, if you haven't invested in our book, it's on Amazon, LuxuryListingSpecialist.com. It's got amazing nuggets in it. We're getting some really good feedback. That's Luxury Listing Specialist on Amazon. And if you haven't already texted Lux to 72000, you're going to want to do so. We have the Ultimate Listing Blueprint, the video checklist, and a free 3-part video series. Just text the word Lux, Luxe, to 72000. And don't forget, if you are interested in taking your business to the next level, our certification is available at luxurylistingspecialist.com. All right, so Joshua, we talked a little bit offline about Facebook. I mean, you're doing amazing things with open houses and Facebook, but for today, we're going to really focus on Facebook because, you know, when we're dealing with $1 million plus properties, open houses, many times you get a little bit of pushback from a homeowner, from a security standpoint, from a theft standpoint, that sort of thing. But when I'm talking about open houses, if you're going to give one nugget that you think would work in the luxury space, you know, and we didn't talk about this offline, so if we got to circle back to it because I'm hitting you, you know, out of left field with it, that's fine. But if you were to share one open house strategy that you think would work across all price points, especially with luxury, what would that be?
Yeah, so you know, obviously, like you talked about with you know, that there's, you know, high-end, you know, I don't know, furnishings, art, whatever. You got to take that into consideration and work with your seller on that, what that looks like. But when it comes to open houses, right, I mean, number one, they work. They're effective. 48% of my business during this day come from open houses. Over 300 deals every single year that come from them. But it really just comes down to what I talked about before. Master your craft. You know, real estate agents, and we'll talk about this as a transition to Facebook, but real estate agents all the time will hit me up like, open houses don't work. Yeah, right? But it's because they're doing them the same exact way that everybody else is doing them. Right? Open houses, for me, I mean, we spend a tremendous amount of time identifying the exact perfect right property. We spend a tremendous amount of time pre-marketing that property. And we spend a tremendous amount of time setting that property up exactly where we want to be. We want to set up to create and to demand attention. Right, but then we're very strategic about every element of it. You know, the signage that's on the front door, right when they walk in, bam, yeah, right, they hit a sign-in table. We're strategic with getting them to sign in a very special way. When we get over 80% of our registrants sign with complete contact information, right, then from there, okay, we're very specific on the tour, exactly what we say, the questions that we ask. We're very specific. The tour winds up of asking for that appointment, asking for their business, and then I have a 1,000-day follow-up protocol that exists afterwards if I can't convert them into an appointment at the open house, which obviously it's a small percentage that do. So with that, I'm not saying that you got to do open houses, right? If you lined up the top 100 residential real estate agents on this planet on the same stage, they're all going to have different lead generation sources, right? The lead source itself is irrelevant. It does not matter. That lead is just a human being. It's somebody's mom, dad, grandmother, son, daughter. You know, as Michael said earlier, we're in the relationship business. That lead source is just, hey, how do you want to connect with this human being? The most important thing is the consistency, the focus that you give that lead source that makes the difference. Yeah, right? So again, it just comes mastering the craft. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about here with Facebook is why does Facebook kill it for me? You know, I get a 21x gross return on my investment from Facebook. Well, why?
21?
Right? Well,
21x?
Yep,
holy
21x
cow.
gross, right? So, and again, to your listeners, like, or to you, you know, these commissions are going to sound small, you know, but yeah, my cost per acquisition is $242. And, you know, my average commission with our Facebook leads that we use, $6,500, you know, right? So, and there's little costs in between there for, you know, equipment costs and whatever. And I don't sell real estate personally. I'm not going on the appointments anymore. I have agents that do. So there's some splits that happen there. But no matter what, any way you break it down, it's the best ROI that I've seen when it comes to paid marketing. But again, why does that exist? Because I spend the time to master it. And I continue to spend the time to master it. You know, to the point now where, you know, I'm not even in, you know, really like the e-commerce or digital marketing space, if you will, but I get asked to speak at these conferences. I got asked to go be a guest speaker at Infusionsoft company meetings that, you know, there are 1,200 employees to speak to all of them because, again, I'm mastering these systems at such a high level, ends up getting attention in other spaces. Yeah, right? So you got to spend the time on where you get hurt. When it comes to marketing, lead gen, just business, your business, your investments that you do, whatever is when you jump into the unknown, if you take the time to educate yourself and really learn this stuff, you're going to get taken advantage of, right? Whether it's your own money or you're going to hire a company to outsource this stuff to and realize later that company's stuff. Yeah, right? Like at least learn it enough. So even if you're outsourcing it, you know if they're doing a good job or not a good job. So,
good point. Good advice there. Understand it enough where you understand terminologies, and if there's red flags, if the just understand some of the basic concepts.
Hey there, it's Michael LaFido. Thanks again for listening to our podcast. If you are interested in signing up for our Luxury Listing Specialist certification, or if you want additional information on how you can dominate selling higher-end homes in your marketplace, make sure you go to luxurylисtingspecialist.com.
Here's one thing that I want to, this is true for Facebook, but this is really true for all things when it comes to marketing. And this is, one thing that I care about in every other business that I get into. It's like the most important thing, the first thing that we dive into and discuss. In real estate, I almost never hear it talked about, which is who is your ideal client? What is your avatar? Who is your ideal client? Who do you want to work with? Who do you enjoy working with? Who do you connect with the best? Who sends you the most repeat referral business? Like, who are those people? What are the connected dots? What are those commonalities, right? Where are they moving to? Where do they live, right? So I want to be very, very specific with that and dial that in. So for me, and luckily because I was in the health club business before I got into real estate, to select the location of the health club, which determined a huge portion of your success, we had to know that before we even identified the location. So I grew up, knowing the importance of knowing the demographics and knowing who your ideal client is, your avatar, that I was able to apply to real estate when I got into it. So early on, I identified it, and I didn't know when I first got into the business. It took me it took me about 6 months to figure that out. But for me, it was those between 28 and 42. So ages 28 and 42 that were second.
So real quick, let me step in real quick. Are you identifying who your ideal client is, i.e. your avatar right now?
Correct, yep.
All right. So for those of you that are listening, maybe you've never heard this terminology, but, basics, especially with luxury real estate, yesterday I just had this question asked when I was doing a training in Boston, but, you have to figure out who the highest probability of your buyer is when you represent a home. And then you want to highlight the best features and the lifestyle and those aspects of the property and the location to that buyer, and trying to figure out who that buyer is, or another term people use is the avatar, who the avatar is. So sorry to step in there, Joshua, but I just wanted to make sure that our listeners understood that that's where you were headed with that.
Yeah, no, and I love that you reiterate that, because it's sad and it's scary, but the real estate industry, it's never talked about. You don't really see any coaches or trainers or I never hear anybody talk about it, right? But you jump into another business or anything else. Like you and I are both also in coaching, and right. You go to hire a coach or a mentor that's going to coach you on becoming a better coach. It's like the first thing that you're always taught and you're always talking about, right? So anyway, identify that. And again, for me early on, you guys, it was those are 28 to 42 years old that were second time move up home buyers that were married, that had young kids at home. That were moving to the suburbs or that lived in the suburbs, right? So, and again, that was based off of my experience. Who did I like working with the best? Like who brought me the most joy, which I think is really important, because I want to work with clients I really like to work with. Who did I connect with the best? Who sent me the most repeat referral business? Yeah, right? And I just got very, very clear on that, and it took a little time to identify it. But then again, once I did, okay, where are these people moving to? Where are they going? And that then became my geographical farm areas, and that's still this day where we play and what we do. And here's the brilliance of it. Now, this happened on accident, right? Like I wasn't smart enough to figure this out, but just let me walk you guys through this. I spend $0 on marketing to go out there and acquire listings. Zero. Obviously, we have to send market on professional photos once we have the listing and things like that. But as far as to acquire a listing, I spend zero. All my dollars go to acquiring buyers, right? But because our avatar are second-time move-up buyers, right? So when a seller is thinking about listing their home, the first thought in most of their minds is, what is available to go purchase first. They want to make sure that next step is a reality. What's available? They almost always start with the buy process first. Yeah, right? So it just so happens, and again, this was just kind of pure luck, but now, right now I base everything off of this. Where then, these buyers, I catch them in the front end, where it's much easier to connect with them, and then it makes getting their listing that much easier. So these buyers, they're looking to go out there and purchase a property, or at least going through their due diligence, which Facebook is like the best place on the planet for that, because that's where you average a person 6.7 months out from purchasing, or when I say 6.7 months out from meeting with a real estate agent. So we meet with them at the very beginning stages when they're just thinking about purchasing a new home or making that transition. But then it just so happens that they also have a house to sell. Right? So we're connecting with them, we're helping them there. So we get 2 transactions out of it, a big chunk of the time, not always, right? But about 30% of the time right now, it's just above 30% that they end up being both sides, right? So that with that being said, we're able then to go out there and list a tremendous amount of properties. Now, I've got a mega team out here in Phoenix, but we're listing just over 7 homes a month without spending a cent on marketing for listings. And that's what I use Facebook for, right? So I'm able to get ultra targeted with Facebook on these people. Again, like, what does that income look like? Where are they going to? What are these commonalities? Are they married, not married? All these different commonalities. You can even, have to target, go after buyers, run buyer ads to only homeowners, and with homeowners that have a certain value range or an estimated value range on their house. Yeah, right? So you do the same thing with luxury. Like you talk about, who is the buyer of this property? Or, if it's extremely difficult to break into getting luxury listings, which I'm imagining it is just like any other, just like it is almost listings across the board in any spot on the planet right now with limited inventory. Yeah, right? Getting with the buyers first, man, is such a quick, easy way, right? Because I got the buyers, they want the property, right? Those buyers eventually are going to become sellers, and you get to know that process. And so again, with Facebook, our focus is I'm running only buyer ads, right? But it's not the all running ads on Facebook. Yeah, right. I mean, it is, you got to know the targeting. You got to know, the demographics. You got to know the targeting, and you got to be very specific. Know what they want. So like when I'm running an ad, I know exactly like, okay, what is that hot price point? What are the most popular features that they want in that specific type of a home? And it's a list for that type of house. Yeah, right. Like, click here to view all homes for sale currently in Gilbert, Arizona, under $350,000, 2,000 plus square feet, 3-car garage with sparkling swimming pools, right? Like I know what my people want in these areas. I target just those people with home features that are specific to them. And that's, I don't want to say that's how you have success. That's how the front end starts. Then you got to have a killer follow protocol.
All right, so on the front end, let's focus on the front end for right now. So the front end, your ad is so specific where you're eliminating perhaps people that aren't looking for a pool, that are above 350, et cetera, because that keeps your cost per click down. You're only getting people that are kind of remotely looking for that, correct?
Yep, correct. Yep.
Go. I'm sorry.
No, I was just reading what you're saying. Yeah, so we're very targeted, right? So I don't want to, and this is just for me, but I'm not looking to work with first-time buyers. Yeah, right? Or those that are, I know a lot of real estate agents are doing like the whole buy cheaper than you can rent for, and yeah, right? That's just not, right. That's not our ideal client.
Yeah, on my scale of 1 to 10, like that's a 0 as far as my excitement personally as well. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So talking about luxury, the flip side of it is we can, looking for homes in Gilbert that are, 1.5 million and above that feature, 5+ car garage, in-ground pool, and, indoor basketball, gym, something along those lines. Obviously, it's a target. The flip side, talking about luxury, you could create ads that are so specific, you're going to eliminate 90% of people. Now, let's face it, luxury is clickable, right? So you're going to get people that are curious more and click on that than perhaps, the other ad. But the same idea is that's the front end. You're really trying to talk to what it is you're looking for, who it is you're looking to advertise to, correct?
Yeah. And you guys, it's not that difficult to go get this information, right? So you get it from your local cities, usually the local city departments with what are the demographics, who's moving here, where are they moving from, whatever, and go door knock all the neighbors. Yeah, right. When you're knocking the neighbors, it's not a sales visit. It's, hey, Joshua Smith here, just a real estate group. I'm listing a house here in the neighborhood, one of your neighbors' homes. And I'm just doing some research to gain some intel so we can have the highest success that we possibly can on marketing, exposing this home, and getting this home sold. So out of curiosity, before you moved to this particular subdivision or this particular neighborhood, where did you live? Were you in the area? Were you in state? Were you out of state? Like, where did you come from? What was the price point of the house that you lived in, before you moved here? How long did you stay in that house that you purchased before you brought here? Also, what is it about this area? Not outside the house feature, but what is it about this neighborhood, this specific area that you love so much? That attracted you to come here. Right? You're just interviewing, and they're giving you all the data and information, how you should market that property. Because it's not just the property; it's also the lifestyle. With the neighborhood features. You start connecting the dots with that. But then guess what else you're doing? Man, you're impressing them by knocking on the door, doing this data, doing this due diligence. I have the opportunity to develop relationships with them, offer them something of value. That's just because it's a win-win all the way around.
Yeah, you're modeling that you're different. You're outside the box. You're not afraid to, to work, right? And that's what they're looking for, especially in some of these markets where it's, what you call a buyer's market, right? They want someone that's aggressive. So, that's one of the fringe benefits, the side benefits of what it is you're describing.
Yep.
So
well, and go ahead.
No, so the front end is really being clear on an ad to keep it really simple because, again, technology, most real estate agents, and I would put myself kind of in that category, but I'm not a techie, but most real estate agents are terrible, with technology. So to keep it really simple, having a defined target audience, who it is you're going after, right? Generalists get paid, specialists get wealthy. So who are you trying to go after as far as the buyer is concerned? That's kind of the front end. And to kind of not over complicate things, talk about, all right, they click on that ad, talk to me a little bit about that funnel or, the back end, to use a term that you would understand.
Yeah. So first off, you guys, back to what I was saying when I first started this podcast of don't play behind the, I'm not techie, right? That's an amateur saying, right? Like if you want to, and I'm not saying that you got to go into Facebook to go out there and create success. Hopefully, if you're listening to this, you're not checking out because we're just talking about Facebook. This should be applied to whatever marketing tactic that you're going after, how you're prospecting, every aspect of your business is just, it's divide and conquer. Break down these processes. Go deep, peel back the onion, and master what you're doing. And this is how you're going to create massive success, regardless of what the marketing tactic is or what business that you're involved in that you're doing, right? So, all right. So then from there, so we've got the Facebook ad that's being ran to, again, all the things that you just said, being very specific with those. You can also, in your demographic targeting, exclude the people that you don't want as well, right? So then they click on that ad. Now, what is having by far the best results for us right now, for me, is Facebook lead ads, which lead ads, actually Facebook collects their data from them. So they actually don't even click out of the ad onto my website, right? They actually, as soon as they hit the little button there on the ad, whether it's one more or whatever, Facebook auto fills in their data from their personal profile page. They'll have to click the submit button. But all the data is being collected on Facebook. Now, you don't have to. You can drive them to your website first. But that's where we're having the most success is with lead ads where Facebook collects the data. But once the data is collected, yes. Then from there, they'll click the view this list now, or view this house now, or whatever it may be. Where then they click on that and they go to your landing page. Now, if I'm not doing a lead ad where Facebook collects their data and I bring them to my page, the second that they land on my page, I'll have it where the first click that they click, then bam, then pops up a forced registration that they would have to register and give me their information to be able to continue. It's essentially they're creating a free account to use your website and all the features and the tools. And, so you've got to have a very accurate, up-to-date, IDX fed website that gives instantaneous, up-to-date information, compared unlike like a Zillow or whatever, because you got to sell them value to opt in. I mean, a lead is just a human being that you've exchanged something of value for in exchange for their contact information, right? So,
sticky. You want a sticky website, right? Something of value where they want to leave their information because there's a free report. There's you see it all the time on Facebook where there's coaches, consultants, where they're offering, their book for free. You just pay shipping and handling. Well, you want that book, so you're willing to leave your information.
Yep. So then, but here's the cool thing. Like if you get 10% that actually registers a lead and 90% bounce, like you're killing it. You're doing amazing. Yeah, right? But the great thing about it is it is retargeting. That person now took an action either on your Facebook ad or on your website. So now you can follow them around and retarget them everywhere they go on Facebook. Yeah, right? So you can just retarget those specific people because they potentially have a need, and you can target them now with different messages, right? So when you look at the consumer, now luxury is going to even be kind of less than this because if you look at your average American, they're buying and selling every 5 years. Well, your average luxury is what? It's like every 13 or 17. The elite stay put longer because they're actually intelligent with their damn money, right? They're not trying to buy and sell every 4 or 5 years. They know that's not intelligent, right? So, but if you get the general consumer overall, 95% of those that you're marketing to are not looking to do business right now. You got that 5% or even a little less, but that 5%, let's just say, that might be looking to buy or sell at any given time. Yeah, right. So a lot of this is just that, hey, let me identify, get a click, let me identify to try to separate that 95 to that 5%, and then now I can continue to retarget them another message. Because maybe they bounce out. And like, I don't care to click on this and see this property or get this free report to get my information. Well, now I can retarget it with some other types of, video ads and other things that are of value, to see what they like and what they hit. But I can continue to keep retargeting them and keep showing up in their world with different messages.
No, that you hit the nail on the head in a couple things. The one thing I want to touch base with is just I guess rehash. You got the front end to keep it really simple. You got the front end, and you brought up a good point because you actually kind of corrected me, which is good. Is the tech savvy? You don't have to be tech savvy to set up some of these ads. Facebook provides the data or who you don't want the ad to be in front of. So that thank you for like correcting me on that because
I know. Yeah, and when it's not, what you said is 100% true, right? Most real estate agents, if you look at who your average real estate agent is, they're not somebody that, and this is true for sales. This isn't beating up on real estate agents, but most sales, people that are in sales are not, it's a different personality type than somebody that typically is techie, right? So what you said is 100% true. All I was trying to say is, look, guys, don't let that be a limiting belief, right? It doesn't. Like, I wasn't techie when I started this stuff either, right? But I know how important my business is to me. How is this going to impact my life, change my life, and go out there? What does success mean for me and my family? And then what do I need to do to create that success that I'm truly committed to creating? And if that means I got to spend, 15 hours behind a computer a week learning this stuff, throughout the night, late night in the hours instead of watching Netflix, maybe I'm learning Facebook ads. Yeah, right. Instead of watching, whatever. If you're committed and you want to make it happen, just believe and make it freaking happen. Yeah, right. This whole like, I'm not techie. That is such a bullshit excuse or response. Right. What you're saying is you are not committed to your success. That's all you're saying. You're too lazy. You're uncommitted to your success. right? It's just a cop-out, right?
So it's a limiting belief. It's an excuse. You can learn enough to be, pointed in the right direction to get started, and then you can fine-tune and tweak as you go.
Yeah, I mean, look at you, Michael. You weren't like, oh, hey, man, I'm not in San Francisco or Beverly Hills and these luxury markets. So you were like, oh, that doesn't work in my area. No, you're like, hey, man, I'm in a part of the country that luxury isn't maybe as common as it is in these other areas, but I'm committed to being a luxury agent.
Right.
And you went out there and became not just a luxury, but one of the top on the planet in an area that it's not as common. Yeah, right? So it's just, you just got to ditch those limiting beliefs. And if you're committed, you make it happen. If you're not committed, you'll always find a reason or excuse of why you're not going to do it.
Yeah, no, good point. So to kind of wrap things up here a little bit, you have an amazing, podcast. Tell folks a little bit more about how they can, if they have a question for you, or what's the best way to get in contact with you, or tell us about a website where they can find out more information. You have a great coaching program as well. It's a 90-day quick start. So tell me a little bit about where people can find more information about you and the podcast and in the 90-day to Mastery program.
Yeah, so there's a couple different things. The easiest is just going to GSDmode.com, stands for GSD, stands for Get Shit Done Mode.com. That's the website with the podcast. All that stuff. I mean, it's all free, right? So there's nothing to be paid for on there. It's just like Michael's podcast. Just I do release 4 or 5 interviews every single week. We have 600 or 700 interviews released on there of top of the top, not just real estate agents. I mean, it's mainly real estate agents and team leaders and people tied to the real estate industry, but also, a lot of just other amazing, epic entrepreneurs. I've had the Grant Cardones of the world on, and, Jay Sammons and other just extremely successful entrepreneurs in different ways. So you can check that out. Or you can always go to my YouTube channel. The podcasts are on there too. You can just type in Joshua Smith on YouTube. You can't miss me. But yeah, those are the best 2 places to check out that content. But everything else is on that site. So anything else you want to learn about me, know about me, whatever it is on GSDmode.com.
That's awesome. Well, listen, your wealth of knowledge, love, like I said, your passion, keep raising the bar. It's needed. We talked about, you got some great iconic, canvas artwork in your studio, in your office. And, I always leave agents with the old adage, prove them wrong. That's one of my taglines. I thrive off that when somebody tells you can't do it, to prove them wrong. Just to kind of wrap things up, folks, again, if you want to listen to other episodes, you can go to iTunes or Stitcher, Luxury Listing Specialist. Or you can go straight to luxurylistingpodcast.com. For more information on our certification, go to luxurylistingspecialist.com. If you want to get a hold of me, you have a question, you want to suggest a topic or somebody that you think would be a great guest, just go ahead and shoot me an email directly, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com. And folks, Joshua, thank you again for your time. And folks, remember, it's not the market, it's the marketing. We'll talk to you soon. Until next time.